Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Labs, Dr. Contrast Live. Hope everybody's doing well. Before I begin today, I just want to make a quick announcement. Hey, how you doing? Oh, one of my favorites. Yeah, hey, Shadow. Now that you're there, we talked about yesterday going into doing some military heavy-duty equipment like stealth tanks and so forth. And I thought, I'm going to take a little bit more time to do a little bit of research on what's out there as far as stealth systems are going. I'm mainly watching out. Great to see you, sir. Hey, likewise too, Shadow. Cool. Honestly, I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see what takes place here, and a lot of neat things going on in the stealth world, especially with tank systems. So I'm going to start a series hopefully next Tuesday on just doing some real quick thumbnail sketches on heavy-duty stealth tank systems. And the reason I went to the Aventador here today is because it's a very simple approach. I got a call late yesterday afternoon from the guys doing our apparel work. Said, hey, we need a Lamborghini to add to your apparel line. So sure enough, we did. I'm going to put the line drawing together and do a little bit of color study today, trying to get it all blocked in. Jumped in ahead a little bit ahead of time to get some of the graphics placed, not to waste so much time on the air here. But I'm going to go back and put a little body color together and use a nice ceramic Lamborghini blue, and then add some little detail work with it, and off we go from there. And while I'm at it, this is another one of my apparel shirts, a Bentley Blue Train Special. That's available on the website coming short. We get the store all organized, and thank goodness for guys like Shadow. They're really coming along and really helped me put that all together. So let's get started with this thing, and we're going to block in some color and go through the process of getting this guy placed in here. So let me just kind of add a little bit of this skirting system here along the base. Get this all lined up here. Just ink it in. Get it all started. Switch gears here for a moment. Pardon me if I turn this thing a little bit on the sideways here to get it all squared away. We have to rejuice this thing. Let's see what we've got. Another one to line up here. Another good solid 7. Let's see what this guy does here. One of the drawbacks with this process, sometimes it's still going to be a little bit on the dry side here. So let's go that route. Let's put that up on the side. Not good. Want more to work with here. See what we've got. Maybe this one will be. There we go. That's the captive. Just a nice little stain in this thing. Gonna knock up this rocker insert piece here. Tone that in. And get after this really nice ceramic blue. Pardon me as I turn this thing upside down from over here. We're just going to bring up the speed as we go. Take this right around the front end assembly. And we're going to separate it with a little bit of pastel. Some marker work on top of that. So we just kind of rein this in. Let's put a shadow on that little intake piece over the top of the header. There we are there. Just kind of block this little intake in. While we've got that out, we'll just kind of knock that out a little bit later too. Let's a little reverse scoop on the back side of this guy. So that's starting to put some pieces together here. Let's come back in. Let's get this guy put together here. Around the wheel envelope. That's it. Turn it up. Sorry again for the motion here. There we are. Save that base for a little bit of accent color break down at the base of the machine here. Let's take this through. Let me turn it upside down again here. Very heavy front end graphics here in terms of high contrast darks against light. So that's what takes a little bit of time here to get this inked in. So thanks for your patience here, gang. We'll get this thing moving really quickly once we get past some of the fill work here. So just back up, right side up. Let's get that base skirt in place. that all set up. Pretty evil machine this thing is, and very graphic. So good stuff. Let me turn this again. Sorry for the turning it around here for a moment. Here, get that line in there nice and squarely. I'm not inking some of the things we don't want to do. There we are. Let's get that skirt to wrap around the quarter. Okay, that's got it. Let's see what that does against that black insert piece just above it here. Let's get that high contrast area put in place here. Oop, there we go. Sorry, down again here for a moment. Do a little bit of finesse here, work with the marker, and throw a little bit of softening of the sky tones with pastels along the line here, and just get this stuff blocked in quickly. That's why I always go ahead here when I put together an automotive piece like this to kind of jump in ahead of the game, trying to put some of the graphics in place so it doesn't become so tedious to watch. So we'll get some of the action down here in a moment here. We'll get this thing really inked in, and we'll be on our way. So that's kind of working out very nicely. Get some high contrast graphics in here. Let's get these nacelles in place here. These big, huge intakes here. And that's that. I'm going to add a little bit of pastel definition in too here once we get this thing pretty well blocked in. Right down again, pardon me for the inconvenience of this. And let's get this one started while I'm at it. Upside down, let's turn this right back up here. Again, that's that. Into that. Now let's kind of scoop it in there, see what we've got. See that on the screen? There you go. Get this back up to square as best I can to keep it active. Yeah, the one illustrating here is this very interesting Ultimae, for example, Lamborghini P740. It's an interesting feel. It's an interesting shape because it's got a little more bells and whistles on it. It's more aerodynamic pieces and ground effects pieces on it. So that's why I'm taking the time to kind of really ink this thing in here very clearly. Let's see what we have here next. I'm going to go back in here. Let's come back to that number 7 gray and get some of these upper pieces inked in. We're going to knock this front end out. That's where a lot of the action is going to be in time to come here. Just going to get that all squared away. And come back in a little more pencil detail to kind of change some of the graphics at it. Down to that peak. It's kind of an odd surface. Looks like it's breaking, but there's not actually in the plan view a lot of a big peak there in the nose graphics to get that thing to read nicely. So I had to cheat the view a little bit to make that read. Come out of that again. Up into that peak and then back to square here. There it is. So far, so good. Down below, let's get that all lined up. Oh, pardon me. You get just enough of a value change from the intake to the underside of the lip and the front end here to kind of make it work a little bit. So that's why I'm taking my time to make sure we get that to read properly. Let's get that, clean that corner up a bit. There, into that, and around the corner, we should be in good shape. There it is there. Okay, very good. Now, let's do something real quickly. Just find out where these patterns are going to go. This is going to go body color here. So let's get that electric blue started going here. Take that in, highlight, bring it across, and again, a little bit of a separator here to kind of help us put together. Let's ink that in. We'll come back with a highlight later here. Let's do that. There it is. Bring it across, pardon me for turning the page again here. And then that kind of just disappears around the bend. So that's that little body color accent here, but I'm going to add a little bit of a little road circuit piece here down below. Now we've got this. We're going to get this all squared away with this. Do a little red accent down below here. You'll see why in a moment. Or the intake system has a little bit of the same thing. Let's get that in place. Drop it out. And again, its companion piece up on the intake. Very graphic all the way around here. Take that in the base of this guy. Everything all right, there it is. Pardon me as I turn this upside down to make sure that line stays nice and clean. Get this up in place here. We'll let that dry and come back in and pick up a second piece here in a moment. Let's get that all squared away. Get this in place. And there we are. It takes that into account. That's coming along pretty nicely. Now let's get this back to some rhythm here. Let's get this piece up on top. This number 7 gray up on top here again. Let's get the graphics out of the way here first. There we are. And I'll come back in some point here near the end of the program, some tempera and some pastel to kind of get some highlight back into this very elaborate looking front end graphic here that this thing really possesses, and really dramatic looking with that cool stuff. And first pass in there, we'll go back and hit it again in a few minutes. It's now just concentrating on getting the high contrast areas out of the way. Start putting some color down. Again, I just kind of lay this in here. Side down again, pardon me. All right, now, last but not least here, let's get this one back into place here. Start in this little second bump of red here. We'll waterfall this onto some of the shapes here. And I'll let it blend in. Look how compound that thing is. It's in and out and all over the place, and just getting that front end graphic to really kind of stabilize itself and become extremely, what I consider to be very formidable. Let me just catch this corner here and bring this back up to speed here for a moment. Let's switch gears here. Boy, pardon me. Go back in. A little bit of some detail work here. Make sure we're not fudging things up. There it is there. Get that little trending edge to kind of come around this accent piece. A bit of detail there. A bit of detail here across. A little reflected shadow on top of that little insert piece there. And again, down and through here. Since it's away from the light source, get a little bit of reflected light off of that shadow down in that little piece there. That helps. There we are. Up on top, just a little bit more of that white area kind of showing through. There we are. Got that all set. Now let's get these engine intakes, front end and breather intakes in place here. It was just a bit there. Little by little, it's coming together. It's an interesting set of circumstances graphically here. Let's get some of the headlamp graphics in place here now. So reflected light coming off of those that lens. Back and pick up a little more detail on this as we go along as well. One side. Get the other guy in place here. Pardon me as I just move this a touch. This one has that very elaborate little set of digital pieces up front here, so I'm going to go back and get that with tempera once we get all lined up here. It'll happen right in this pocket. Right about in there is a four-stack series of bullets that are really kind of neat looking lamping system that they utilized in this particular model. Again, the Ultimae really dramatically, a lot of changes in terms of ground effects pieces up front, tail graphics, body side graphics, interesting surfaces. Delicate nonetheless, but good. Get this all side here. And let's get this in place here. You don't see much of this action on the other side because it's kind of disappearing away from the lamp graphic and the like, but it still nonetheless is there. And that's that. Get that little corner up there just a little more articulated here. There we go. Let's kind of ink that in. Now that I've got the majority of the materials in place, I can go back and get some of the high contrast body graphics in place here. Third party lighting details. That's that. That goes around here. That comes out and just clears a little bit of highlight right in there, and saves a little bit of there. That's that. That's got it. Looking good there. Now let's kind of get the body of this thing in place. Just a touch of that, a little bit of gray through that. And again, all of that into that. As I said before, we'll come back in and really detail the daylights out of this. It's lamping assembly, very interesting. It all begins to function out here. Let's put a little bit of that in place. Again, over here, this is the same thing. Touch more of the platform back here. And there it is. It's starting to come together nicely here, gang. I think we're starting to put some of the graphics together. Now let's see what we come up with here as far as some. Let's start putting a little bit of tint in here. Look at this color. See how that's moving along here. Let's kind of get this. Let's get this up to speed here. That really nice electric blue here. Let's put that in place. We're going further and make sure we get a little bit of this glass reflected in there. That side, let's take a little bit of that same content here. A little bit of shadow in this thing. Now we're coming along. A little bit of reflected light in through here as well. Putting that same coming through the lens itself. Not bad. And again, just a touch of that down there. So far so good. Let's get some of this change of pace here on this glass. A little bit of a different pattern here. A little bit of experimentation. Something off the horizon line, kind of coming back and reflecting off of this guy. A little more unique. It's got more character than normal horizontal approach to reflected light. So it's it's interesting. Now let's go back in and see if we can get the body of this guy put together here. Now this is going to be the sensitive part. I'll be staying this beauty in. I'm going to make everything click. Here we go. A bit of a reflected pattern in there. Let's take that on through into the upper. Bit of a base. Get this back in place here. There we are, coming along with some bit of body color here. Interesting little surface of work here. Just gonna get this let's get this guy in place too. Shoulder. Let's take that right on this body form here. Get this guy lined up. Highlight along here. Take a little bit of that same tone. Here we are. Sort of stain this thing in. There we go. Working the shapes here to kind of get some effective quality in the marker. Some of the concept work here to kind of get it all consistent. There she is coming together here. Hopefully working all right. And let's see, let's do this too. It's kind of just a little disturbing to see some of this high contrast. The white holding out here. Let me just do this. It's going to stain this back in. Get these rims down to where they should be here. It might help to kind of knock down some of the high contrast we're looking at here, but yet enforce the fact that we've got a very dark series of rims on this guy. That's helping. We kind of drop that out a little bit. Let's get some of that high contrast area here between the spokes as well. There we go. Let's get us a little bit of shadow on top of this, this brake. There we go. That's helping a little bit. Zoom back in. There we are. That's coming. That looks a little healthier now. It's got everything all kind of squared away here as far as the rim. And hey, Angry Beast, how are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. I'm sorry I didn't pick up your note earlier here. We're just kind of working on a little bit of a Lamborghini Aventador here. Interesting set of surfaces. I was going to do a series of high impact tank stuff. Here's some tank work, but do a little more research on before I begin to really play this up. So I thought we'd kind of go into a little nice little discussion here today with this Aventador. So let me just kind of push this together here. More color in this guy. Good to have you on board. How have you been, Angry? Looking good? Hope that you're enjoying this. Thanks for joining forces today. A bit more contrast in this. More contrast in this. Kind of get a little bit of separation now as we go into this guy. Keeping it subtle. There we are. I might as well drop that whole nose piece out of there too as well. Let's get this guy. Get some real shadow here. That's better. As well as that. Let's put a bit of shadow on this thing too. And again across this area here too. Just bringing up the contrast just a bit more. Get this guy to read. There we go. That's why I put some pieces together. Real subtle, but those sketch pens, those are Copics. Angry, no problem. Copics, just neutral grays here, just to work with these beauties. And I've got some sketch pens, like Sharpies and the like, and some color pencil work to deal with. But the majority of this is all Copic marker right now, and just kind of staining things in to get it all put together here. I'm going to make just a moment here. Just going to put this in place. A little insert piece there. Let's get that all squared away. It's got that little hood intake piece here. That's going to go in place. So that's that. Let's see if we can get those guys all lined up. Now I'm going to come back in here and just do a little bit of exploratory work here. Let's get the highlight surfaces on the upper portion here. This is going to go a little bit of shadow into highlight, back to shadow, back to highlight. So this is going to be kind of staying in first. See what we come up with here. Get a pattern established. As we said in the highlight. Let's those surfaces read a little bit. Come across this guy. Get to read. Come down here with a little more animation. Back across here, kind of a little more reflective work. I come back in through across the top and just pick a little bit of highlight right up on top of the surface and just let it kind of scream in here. In the shadow down below here. Right down that seam line on the center line of the hood. Into that area and back out of it again. Okay, there's a start. What do you think, eh? A little bit of highlight on top there. Now let's kind of bring up the speed just a bit here. Let's get this with that in place. Go back to this. Got a little more highlight on that front end. Go back to the same process here. Let's see if we can make sure we're at the right marker. There we are. Let's come back and just kind of dust that in. Using that second or third layer to really kind of get a little bit more reflective quality up front there. That's helping a little bit. There we go. What do you think, Angry 7 Beasts? I think we're working okay here. There we go. That's coming together nicely. I think we're trying to pick up some real information here. So far, so good, gang. Just come across here and pick a little bit of this up. There we are, starting to come together here, folks. Got a little bit of reflective quality up on the hood, and so far so good. I think we're going to play this up just a bit more here. Let's kind of get this shape here to where a little more convincingly here. That's that, and this would be the actual pillar assembly here, reflecting into that area. Let's get a little bit of that in place. Let's pull that through it. Let's pull that through it. And again, let's get this guy to read just a little bit more boldly here. And back in one more time, a little bit on this lighter blue. Kind of pass it through here just a bit. Shadow in there. Get that real nice light. Get that light to work a little bit better right through the emblem area there. And again, in through here. And just a touch right in there. Now we're ready, I think. All of a sudden, look how that just kind of reflects some of the light out of there. What do you think, gang? Coming together all right? Interesting how that whole, it just all kind of falls together. It's amazing what little touches and the systems can work with in terms of putting together some of the graphics here, and just honing it down just a bit and making sure we're in good shape, taking one little step at a time. Let's get this intake to kind of read a little more boldly back here. There, that's got it. And again, in through here, this intake really kind of strongly state this beauty here. And one more time, if I got the right, yeah, let's see what this guy does. I'm gonna knock this out a little bit more away from the light source. If I picked up the right one or not. Another 7 luring around here. I think this is the better one, I think, hopefully. Try to have half the battles keeping in track. Yeah, this is better. A little bolder here. A little bit of a tint. There goes across the form. Now I've got to a place now where I've got the materials pretty well inked in. Now I can get a lot more animated with some of the forms or reflective qualities coming across the actual shapes themselves. I can kind of spell them out a little bit more. So it's not enough, I've got a little more real estate to work with here. Going to tone this back just a bit. Come back with some highlight and get that all taken care of. There we are. Let's get a bit of that line weight back in place here. Describe that in just a moment here when we get started with it. Get this back in place. And maybe just a touch more of that same darker blue coming back in here across that reflection in the sky here. That's better. So, oh, there we are. That's that. Now, little trick here. It's kind of nice. Kind of blends some things together. But before I do, let me try something else here, just out of curiosity. Let's get this shadow to really kind of crank in there a little bit more. That's better. Bring that up just a touch. That's it. Get that base down a little bit more. Come back with that same true blue. There we are. Just gonna just take the grayness out of it here. Get that shadow to work into that undercut. There it is. Helps. More base underneath that thing. Right over that shoulder. I don't know if you guys are still with me, but what do you think? Is that making sense here, guys? Shadow, if you're still there. Obviously, Angry, if you're still hanging on there, great. Good to have you on board here. Let me see if I can kind of pick this up just a touch. And again, down below. Probably turn this upside down for a moment. Get that rocker panel, that carbon fiber piece to kind of stand out a little bit more against that little strap. Add into place. A little more engine detail in that guy in a moment. Or engine, pardon me, intake detail. And one more pass at that bright red to kind of give a little more accent to this thing. Here we are. And let me see. Let's see. First time chat. Very cool. Angry Beast. Hope you're enjoying this. Are you still with me? Any input at all as far as character concerns that you've got here? Interesting to pick up some information from, if you don't mind. What do you think? Is working out okay for you? Let's put a little bit of this marker light in here. We're just going to give a little bit of glow. A bit of pastel. It doesn't. Put a little bit of ground reflection in there while we're at it. Get that to pick up a little bit. There we are. Any commentary here, guys? If you're still hanging on here and working with it, that's got a pretty good intro. But I'll try this too. I'm going to give a little bit of this, a little bit more of a blend, the body color up on top. Let's see what this does. I'm using a little bit of a pastel and a Weeble pad. This guy is an absolute genius piece. I mean, this thing is great to work with. You just kind of scrub in some pastel, and then right on the shadow side, right down that piece, right there. And across that, and then all of a sudden brings it all together. Enough reflected light, enough Lamborghini piece underneath there to get the body color to work. And I think that pastel just does a tremendous job. Same up on top here. It's just a great technique to work with. Our approach saves them a multitude of sins. Just let me try something here as well. Just let me grab something here, guys, real quickly. And let's see if we can get this resolved here real quickly. Let's see. Get a little indigo pencil and get a little bit more detail in this one. A bit of pencil work here. Carry that tear line through. Where that shadow will kind of come across that form. Same thing up in the light, the actual rearview mirror. Bring it around through just a little bit, touches of detail that make all the difference here. Same thing up on this side. Rearview mirror. Whoops, losing that just a touch here. shadow underneath there a little deeper. Side of pencil to get that shadow to work just a touch more. And that hit. Bring that into play. And again, follow that right through. So there you are. There's a few more little touches here, gang. And I think we've got it. It's reading nicely, I think. Let's just put a little bit of this wheel lip in the shadow. Pardon me as I rotate this paper again. Let that fade out. And for what it's worth, a lot of fun too to kind of get some of this highlight back. Put a little bit of this into it. What we've lost, just kind of erase that back up just a touch. Great technique. There it is. Look how that just comes right back to reflected quality that you want across the top of that hood. And there it is. Really interesting approach. Always a great way to save a sketch. A bit of highlight down in here and take it into the up corner. And there we are. And we're home. I think we've got it there, gang. There's hopefully enough damage done for today in terms of getting this piece at least established. And I hope it's been of some enjoyment for you. For those of you who are watching, I do want to thank you very much for doing so. And while I've got you there on the line, just for a moment, I think, let me just kind of stand back and look at this guy. Let's do this. Let me get some little detail work in here while we've got the time to do so. And here we are. A little bit of brushwork here. I want to show with those lamping, that lighting assembly really looks really cool. So let's do this, just a little bit of some touches of hot spot here. And that very interesting looking headlamp assembly up front here. Right up here. And for what it's worth, just a couple of little detail pieces along here. And hopefully that'll do it. Welcome, Angry Beast. Hey, good to have you on board there, gang. So neat. Let me do one little thing here. Let's kind of clean this up a little bit here. Some of the overspray. Well, this is where it gets touchy. Well, I think they're taking this beauty as far as I can for today. I think that's got some pretty strong impact on it there, guys. What do you think? Not sure if Doc answered your question, but I know he uses many mediums. Yeah, I did answer the question, Shadow. I think sketch pens, this is a combination of getting into some sketch pen work, obviously some Copic marker work, Prismacolor pencil, Sharpies, erasers. I mean, I'm all over the place here. Hungry Beast, still Hungry Beast. So hopefully that answered your question. And I think I'm going to let it go with that and take a look at this thing and kind of settle a little bit and see if we've got enough surface work to deal with here. And enough for a good definition to actually get the storm across and to get the point across with this shape and this forms. I think it reads pretty nicely. I'm going to put a little bit of background in maybe, and we'll see how that works. And we're going to set this thing up and maybe throw the Lamborghini logo in the upper right-hand corner here. But I think overall it's got a nice stance to it. It has a really aggressive look. That's what I was after in terms of the view. A lot of reflected light up front, a lot of body side picking up the environment. Not a fan of blue, but you just read me. I'm not either. I'm not a big fan of blue myself, Shadow, but I think it was just kind of a merit to do that kind of interesting that very ceramic blue that Lamborghini has, and give this thing this Ultima a little bit of a different character. I'm using doing reds and silvers, and I just want to change the pace here and give this thing a little bit more impact in terms of putting it all together. So I think it was a lot of fun, and I hope this works. Let me know what you think here, guys. And I'm going to come back in maybe on Tuesday. I'll take my time and just take a look at what kind of backdrop I want to use with this thing, and we'll take it from there and put a bit of background in, put the logo down on it, and sign this beauty. In fact, before I sign off today, I'm going to do that thing now so I get that mess out of the way. So let's do this. We'll just kind of sharpen a stick, and we'll come along and do the following here. And that makes it official now, guys. There I am. So there it is. I'm going to run Doc and Exponential Amazing Machine. That one, you'll see. Not a problem. Thanks so much for tuning in here, guys, and thank you again, all of you, for taking the time to be with me today. Very interesting. As I said, stay tuned next week. I promise I'm going to do a little research on some stealth tank work, and I wanted to do that today, but I want to make sure I had a little bit more interesting, a little more time and research to look at what was out there. We're start doing a little bit of a sketch presentation here. So again, switch gears. This is a request coming from my apparel guy to get a Lamborghini on the store. So I think we're going to get this thing, get it scanned and up on a shirt shortly here. So thanks so much, gang, for tuning in. Stealth Thanks. He actually said that. Yes, Stealth Tanks. I actually said that. Isn't that funny? And I didn't check it out today. I was just really concerned about, after we spoke about it, Shadow, I was just concerned about making sure I had the right information and not repeating anything that's kind of goofy out there, but putting our own brand to this thing and doing some really neat little elevation sketches and some different approaches to those heavy equipment material pieces. So there we are, gang. Hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really enjoyed it. Please visit my website, Hangry Beast, if you're still there, at jim@drcontrast.com. Love to have you follow me here on Twitch as well. Thank you for tuning in. Shadow, it's always good to have you on board. And again, please, any concerns you might have as far as information is concerned, if you want me to work on certain things with you and help you in some areas, I'll be happy to do that. That can be reached at jim@drcontrast.com. Please feel free to drop me a note. And again, visit my website, drcontrast.com. You'll see all my YouTube stuff, Instagram, store, all the elements that we're talking about here today. Look forward to seeing you on Tuesday of next week, folks. We'll kind of wrap this thing up. We'll show you the finished product, and I'll start doing some stealth tanks. Aha, how about that? I jumped out of my seat. Yeah, that was a bit of a scare, wasn't it? You're going to do tanks? Good grief, what's going on here? So I'm going to give it a shot here on Tuesday, doing a little research work. Thank you all. See you Tuesday. Absolutely. Thanks again, gang, for tuning in. Lots of fun today. And again, jim@drcontrast.com. Email me and visit my website, drcontrast.com. And I always close off with this because I think it's the most important part of the whole process. Thank you so much today. And never forget to remember to dare to be great, because you are. Thanks very much, gang. See you Tuesday.